So a lot has happened in the last month, and I basically decided a path that I want to go down, something that I want to do to try to follow a path for my financial independence, but also help people in their own lives. And so the idea that I came to after I spoke with some people, including my sister, is the idea of helping people, most likely women, but people in general, to save money on all sorts of beauty products. So the beauty industry charges a lot of money for all the various products, and a lot of people feel like they have to buy the latest thing or buy really expensive products in order to feel beautiful or to feel like they're socially accepted. And I want to try to help people manage that as much as possible and help them save a buck, basically. So in order to do that, I first started looking at Adalo to build my own website and host it and then build an application. So the end goal is to build an app for phones, so it's quite accessible. I messed around with Adalo for about a week or so, but I found that it lacked some of the features that I was looking for, and I also didn't find it very intuitive. So after that, I went to Flutterflow, and I've been working with Flutterflow for a while, for about three weeks or so, trying to put together this app, which I've given the provisional name of Foundations because I thought it was a nice pun. And I'm really happy with how it's gone so far. I hit a bit of a bump in the road. So when you start designing a website, you sort of do the page design and how the interactions work and all that sort of thing. But where you may hit a bit of a roadblock if you're not as tech savvy as I'm not, and I'm having to learn a lot, is when you get to looking at things like the back end, looking at things like the coding integration. So Flutterflow and Adalo are great because they don't have, they're what's called no-code platforms. So the site lets you build whatever you want in terms of the design and essentially writes the code to match it. Adalo was a purely code-free platform, whereas Flutterflow is a low-code platform, which means that even though you can do a lot of things without any code, you still have the option to put in custom code if you want to. So I think that's a nice bit of flexibility, so I thought that was good as well. So what I've done so far with the site is set up a bunch of pages to do with favorites, posts, that sort of thing. Home, I've still got locations and things like that. So I'm trying to figure out the way that I want to present information. I think it's still very busy, so I'm trying to set up all the interaction. Well, that's not great. I'm trying to set up all the interactions and things like that while firming up exactly what I want it to be. And I have an ultimate vision that it will be sort of a hybrid platform where one of the main draws is that you can seek out products and learn when products go on sale and keep products in sort of like a shopping cart type thing where you'll be notified when they go on sale and things like that. However, I also have a longer term vision of another side of it, which is more of a social media sort of side, except leaning less into social media and more into like community platform. So you'll have your own profile that other people will be able to see, and you'll have your own posts, you'll have reviews, and what I'm sort of internally calling routines, which is collections of beauty products that you think either lead to a good outcome and you think have worked really well for you, or can help people save money potentially on some of the more expensive products. So, if there's a $30 product and a $20 product that could be more useful for people than something which sells by itself for $150, and yeah, so that's my overall vision for it. So most of the pages are put together, and I've taken inspirations from some other beauty sellers, I suppose, when putting some of these together. But I really wanted to make it as intuitive and as easy as possible to find what you're looking for. So I'm messing around with things like being able to search by your characteristics, so your skin tone, your hair type, hair color, any skin conditions that you have, things like that. Obviously, that takes a lot of, or maybe not obviously, but it takes a lot of work to fine-tune all of those different databases and interactions, especially when you're still learning all the ins and outs of website creation, like I am. But I'm happy with the progress, and yes, I think I mentioned earlier, I hit a bit of a wall recently in terms of the fact that one of the most, the most important thing for this is, okay, we want to track, we want to track what's going on websites when things are going on sale. How do we do that? We need a tool which helps us find that information and can then be sort of rehosted on the site. Now, something interesting that I haven't really looked into as much as I probably should have is APIs, and whether I can just integrate with a website already. I don't know a lot about APIs, so I think that will be my next, my next course. However, in lieu of that, what I have got is a program in development to essentially gather lots of information from various websites. So if I go to Mecca, for example, and I just find a random product, let's go to browse. Let's go to brow gels, which I didn't know was a thing. And let's look, Slick Day Stronghold Clear Brow Gel. Obviously, zoom out a little bit, there's a lot of information here. You've got the product category, you've got images, you've got the brand, you've got color, price, reviews, etc. So the challenge and what I've, commissioned a tool to do is essentially gather this information and place it in a database that we can then use for the application. Another can of worms that opens is backend. Managing the database, doing all that sort of work. If you have no experience with it, it can be a bit overwhelming. There's a lot going on. So I'm trying to learn on that front as well. The one other thing that I was looking at is this 60-30-10 color rule, and I've got this video queued up as well to watch, because the default color palette sort of stereotypically went quite pink. When you make I think this is looking pretty good. When you make a page on Flutterflow, you have an option to automatically generate a color palette based on what sort of application it is. So I just went with that, and I was like, we'll just use this for the time being. But I think it's getting to the point now where I really want something that is a bit more mature and a bit more, appropriate and distinct and stylish. So that's also something which is on my to-do list. Somewhat related to all of these issues, I have a whiteboard coming from Officeworks tomorrow because I really need some space to doodle my ideas. Oh yeah, and I haven't even got to Skool yet. So that's Skool with K. I'm also trying to launch a platform on Skool, SKOOL.com, and that's sort of tied to this. So what I would like to do is document my process for building this application, document everything that I'm trying to include and what the mission of the application is, to help people, feel good about themselves while also saving money, um, and to feel like they, have some sort of agency in not feeling like they're, at the whims of big beauty, like having to spend heaps of money on things all the time, feeling like they can be smart and proactive and keep an eye on things. And, um, I'm based in Sydney, and God knows that at the moment everyone could stand to save a few dollars, especially with, rent and cost of living. So that's my ethos for the application. But this Skool platform um, is designed to support the application both as I'm developing it, but also as it progresses. Um, in order for everyone who's interested and everyone who thinks it's a good idea to come together in one place and, first of all, sort of be a safe place to share ideas about beauty and products that they know and techniques that work for them and all sorts of hacks and things like that, but also to have very direct engagement with the application. Tell me what sort of features you want implemented, which sites you would like data taken from to be used in the app, because that's a process in itself where every different site will have different parameters that will be required to upload. So basically, I hope that it will allow me to tailor the application to be whatever people want. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm focusing on the initial sort of product catalog and the functionality around that first, and then going more into the social media / community forum space. But who knows? People might not want that. And I was not surprised, but well, maybe a little surprised. I did a survey, sort of feeling out a lot of these ideas, and some of the answers were not what I thought they were going to be necessarily, and they've taken me in directions that I couldn't have anticipated from the start. So I really hope that that will be able to continue on Skool, and we can build a great community there that supports everybody who uses the app and helps build the app exactly the way that people want it. So that was a lot, but I'm going to be doing updates like this hopefully every day, probably not every day, but as near to that as I can. So yeah, if you're interested in the idea of an application which helps you track the beauty products that you're interested in, save money on them when they come up for sale, helps you find new products that you mightn't have been aware of. A whole other conversation is around duplicates. And this came out of conversation with my sister, finding products which essentially do the same thing or near to the same thing, but are far cheaper, or they might have different ingredients which may not agitate your skin or things like that. So that's a whole other project as well. I think that's a very intricate process of adding that system in, but one that I think could be very valuable to people. So I'll be interested to hear what people think about that. But yeah, we'll do these updates and we'll keep developing in the meantime, and we'll see how it goes.